Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, good morning. Consideration of agenda items. Are there any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Mr. Chair, I have some changes for our agenda.
Very good. Go ahead.
Add item to administration. Consider approval of McLeod County policy for paid leave utilization during a public health emergency.
Okay.
Revision to item K under administration. Notification of McLeod County Student Government Day. This event has unfortunately been canceled and the county is not looking to reschedule this event this year.
Very good.
That was scheduled for April 7th. Remove item 7A from the agenda. Court Services request to consider approval to purchase perennials from Holisex Garden Center, Lester Prairie, Minnesota. This item is not time sensitive and will be heard at a future meeting date. Remove item 6, presentation from Minnesota River Area Agency on Aging. Mr. Swanson will plan to schedule this presentation at a later date. This is due to COVID-19 concerns. That's all.
All right. Any other additions or corrections to the agenda?
Move to approve with corrections.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger, second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Considering the events that is going on, I have a statement that I'm going to read at the beginning of the meeting. As expected, the efforts of Minnesota are changing by the hour in order to fight the spread of COVID-19. McLeod County public health officials have been working diligently with Minnesota Department of Health to bring the latest updates to our citizens. We as a board continue to support the efforts to minimize the effects on the operations of McLeod County services while still supporting our communities. At this time, we have no confirmed cases of COVID-19 in McLeod County, according to our public health resources and the Minnesota Department of Health. We have made an effort to encourage electronic participation and viewing of our board meeting this morning, and will handle our agenda items. At the end of our meeting, we will again discuss the pandemic during our county workshop. To keep our teams safe, we have asked our employees to view the meeting via broadcast unless their attendance is required. So you may see us pause throughout the meeting if we need to get some staff members on the phone to address their agenda items. Sheila is prepared the best she can to address the agenda items in person. Some staff is here, so if we do have to pause or recess, that may occur. All right? All right, moving on to the agenda. Consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We now have a proclamation. Hannah, would you come forward regarding Social Work Month? Would you read that for us, please?
Whereas the social work profession for generations has worked to strengthen the well-being and meet the basic needs of all people, especially people who are vulnerable, oppressed, and living in poverty. And whereas this year's Social Work Month theme, Social Workers, Generation Strong, embodies the heroic work of social workers who for more than a century have worked to make our society a better place to live. And whereas the social work profession is a diverse profession that allows people of various generations, ethnicities, sexual identities, and religious backgrounds to make an immediate positive impact on our nation and world. And whereas the social work profession is one of the fastest growing professions in the United States, with more than 777,000 people expected to be employed as social workers by 2028, and whereas social workers in all parts of our society to meet people where they are and empower them to live to their fullest potential. And whereas the social work profession, more than many other professions, has expansive boundaries that allow social workers to work in a variety of settings, including schools, centers for veterans, the military, hospitals, and mental health centers, corporations, and local, state, and federal governments. And whereas social workers for generations have worked with other professions, community groups, lawmakers, civil rights, and other organizations to bring equal rights for all, including women and people who are African American, Latino, Native American, LGBTQ, and of various cultural, ethnic, and religious groups. And whereas the social work profession has been in the forefront of pushing for changes that have made our society a better place to live, including a minimum wage, improved workplace safety, and social safety nets programs that help ameliorate poverty and hunger. And whereas social workers have been and continue to stand ready to help our nation in times of crisis, including war and natural disasters such as floods, earthquakes, and hurricanes. And whereas social workers stand ready and have the expertise to help our nation handle some of its most pressing issues, including equal rights for all, improved health care and mental health care for all, immigration reform, income equality, and the environmental impact of climate change.
Thank you very much, and thank you to our social workers. All right, environmental services, Mark?
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
So we do have two items this morning. The first item is a conditional use permit. It was an item that was tabled from March 3rd. It is a conditional use permit for mining 20-01 made by Randy and Dylan Peterson, Randy's Bobcat Service. And the Planning Commission did hear this request in February and recommended approval for screening, crushing, stockpiling located in Section 16 of Hassan Valley Township on that part of the northwest quarter, lying southwesterly of the center of the Crow River. With that being stated, the Hassan Valley Town Board did recommend approval for this request on February 11th, 2020. The Planning Commission recommended approval on February 20th, in February of 2020 with the following conditions. Number one, the applicant shall submit a bond or letter of credit to McLeod County Environmental Services by March 30th, 2020 in the amount of $6,000. Number two, hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 6:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. Saturdays shall be permitted as needed with a 24-hour notice to McLeod County Environmental Services. Saturday hours shall be 7 a.m. to noon. Number four, applicant shall restore the pit area to an 8-to-1 backslope for farming practices. Number five, stockpiles shall not exceed 30 feet in height. Number six, McLeod County Environmental Services shall inspect all restoration work completed and approve with a letter acknowledging completion to release the bond or letter of credit back to the applicant. Number seven, the applicant shall follow all mining standards contained in Section 16 of the McLeod County Zoning Ordinance, if not further restricted by this permit. And then number eight is a point of discussion and contention from the March 3rd meeting. The applicant shall apply for an entrance access permit from the McLeod County Highway Department. Trucks hauling signs shall be posted when accessing Airport Road and County Road 115. At the Planning Commission, the applicant proposed the primary haul route to go out to the north and access an easement and enter onto 115th, County Road 115, which is Airport Road. And then the secondary haul route was to the south, 160th Street, through an easement that the landowner has accessing the property from the south. After a lot of discussion, the applicant did not obtain an easement to be able to access 115th, County Road 115. So we will ask for that to be removed, and the primary haul route, the only haul route, would enter to the south, coming onto 160th Street. And being that the township did hear this with the option for that secondary haul route to enter, they were okay with the change. So what I'm asking for is number 8 to basically state that the haul route, the only haul route, will be to the south, entering 160th, which is a township road.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, Doug?
it's just reflected, it's H on our agendas.
Yeah. Just so you know, Mark,
Oh, I'm sorry, thank you.
we're reading off the same sheet of music.
I was reading off of the.
No, it's
what we had
fine,
sent in.
anybody watching might want to know that it's H, but
Yeah, I'm sorry for that. So, yeah, so an H, letter H would be amended to include the haul route only going to the south and entering 160th.
All right. Mr. Mahan, anything you would like to add? No. All right. Any questions from the board to Mark?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Mark, is there, earlier in the discussion on this project, potential to haul some construction debris or things back into this pit area? Is that part of this consideration, or is this simply a gravel mining operation?
No, the intent typically for pits is to be able to access clean material to come in for the purpose of restoration. So per the standards that we have in the ordinance, they either have to use on-site material to be able to get back to the side slope that they're indicating, or they're going to have to bring material back in to meet those side slopes.
All right, so there would be no potential for concrete crushing or anything else happening on this site then?
There is intent for crushing out there, but there is an old stockpile for Otto Templin's land, which is directly to the south of this parcel. There is an old stockpile of concrete out there that Mr. Peterson has indicated that he would crush for Mr. Templin with the purpose of being able to reuse at a later date.
Okay. Mr. Chair?
Yes.
The reason I asked the question, Mark, is just I know with crushing, it's a noisy operation. Is there any setback requirement from residents in the area? Or?
No, we don't, and we had talked about that at the Planning Commission meeting. There were members of the area that were in attendance. Obviously, to bring in a crusher, it's fairly costly for contractors if they don't own one, so it's not something that typically is going to be there for many days in duration. It's typically going to be a situation where, they bring it in, they'll crush for a week, and then they'll remove that crusher. The screener that he's proposing to use, they've come a long way with that technology, and the screening part has gotten to be a lot quieter than it has in the past. But the applicant is aware that he will have to do whatever he possibly can through the performance standards of the ordinance to mitigate any noise and or dust.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions for Mark? Keeping in mind the amendment to provision H as we move forward.
Mr. Chair, with the amendment to change the haul route to simply to go south to 160th Street, I would move to approve this conditional use permit.
Motion by Commissioner Polmeyer, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item B is consider approval of conditional use permit 19-23 by U.S. Solar Corporation, Minneapolis, Minnesota, for the essential services of a 0.5 megawatt community solar garden array system interconnected to an Xcel Energy substation on property owned by Donald Milkey. The applicant has secured a facility easement of 10 acres, up to 10 acres, from the property owner, subject to project approval. The 3.35 acre solar project would be known as USS Waterfalls Solar LLC, and to be located in the Ag District with a 10 acre easement of a 49.49 acre parcel in Section 36 of Hale Township. This application was originally heard by the Planning Commission on January 22nd, 2020. The Planning Advisory Commission tabled this application until February 26th, 2020 in order to allow U.S. Solar Corporation time to provide additional information that was requested. The applicant signed a 60-day review waiver on January 22nd, 2020. With that being said, Hale Township did recommend denial for this request at their January 9th, 2020 regular meeting. The findings for denial were as follows. Number one, the decommissioning bond dollar amount is not enough. Number two, the tile and drainage identification on site and who will maintain. Number three, education is needed for ambulance and fire department in case there is a natural disaster, accident, or fire. Number four, stray voltage testing to be done on site before and after construction at the expense of the solar farm operation and results provided to the Hale Town Board. Number five, the landscape plan for screening is needed to be provided to the McLeod County prior to construction. And number six, all conditions of the township and McLeod County planning and zoning need to be confirmed and met prior to construction. With that being said, the Planning Commission Advisory Committee at their February 26, 2020 meeting recommended approval with the following conditions. Number one, a bond or letter of credit in the amount of $50,000 be provided to McLeod County Environmental Services Office prior to any permits being issued. Number two, applicant shall restore the site to its original and natural state once the solar facility is no longer in use. Number three, contractor's proof of insurance during the construction of the facility is needed. Number four, contact person and phone number for weed control and other concerns will be filed with the Environmental Service Office. And there shall be a placard posted at the entrance visible from Falcon Avenue, County Road 15, naming a contact person with a current phone number. Number five, a landscape buffer plan and vegetative management plan shall be provided to Environmental Services Office. Included in the plan shall be a row of maintained, healthy, living 4-foot trees with vegetative shrubbery along the exterior perimeter of the project boundary. This buffer shall be planted and maintained to remain healthy and live. Number 6, agricultural fencing 8 to 10 feet in height shall be installed for site security and safety around the perimeter of the project area. Number 7, applicants shall meet all NPDES permit requirements if required. Number 8, applicants shall preserve the existing drainage tile and repair if any tile are broken. Repairs shall be performed by a drainage contractor. Tile lines may need to be rerouted along the roadside. Number 9, applicants shall obtain a permit from the Minnesota Department of Transportation for access off of Falcon Avenue, and that should read the McLeod County Highway Department, not Minnesota Department of Transportation. And number 10, stray voltage shall be tested prior to energization, after energization, and 2 years after energization. And then, as to be known, that those results would need to be submitted to McLeod County Environmental Services when completed. So with that being said, we do have members, I believe, in the audience that are here to speak to this. Mr. Milkey, the property owner, is here. Colin Kobayashi, who is the applicant for U.S. Solar, is here as well.
Mark, did we get anywhere with the township and have we got, yes, sir. No, did you have something?
If I may speak to that, Mr.
Yeah, go
Chair.
ahead.
So the township still, I believe, is an objection to this request.
Okay.
It's an issue that of prime farmland and tile issues that exist in regards to this area. The south part of this field is just directly south of our highway shed on Falcon and Highway 7, and there is a small regulator substation for a pipeline that was carved out of that field along Falcon Avenue as well. With all of that being said, the request is not to be, intruded into the bigger part of the field, but yet the soils are indicative of being prime if drained and and the proper inputs are taken, it is prime farmland. So with that being said, there is concern obviously that we have in relation to these projects. Prime has many factors to it. It's not just soil structure, it's also size of the field. So
Right. All right. Does anybody wish to address the board considering this? Well, geez, one at a time. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, Colin Kobayashi here from U.S. Solar.
Yes.
First, want to thank the chairman, commissioners for taking the time to hear us out today. I hope everyone's being safe and with everything that's going on. Now, as we said before, one of the reasons why that this project kind of fits into that area is that it's in that small chunk of this parcel. It's only going to be about 3.35 acres, and there's a gas regulator station by Northern Natural Gas just to the north of it, so that kind of restricts the farming that could be done. I just want to say that we are agreeable to all the conditions that were recommended at the Planning Advisory Committee. I did want to propose one amendment to that. For condition number 5, we would propose that instead of the landscape screening, we were thinking about a privacy screening fence. It was mentioned shortly at the last meeting when talking further with Mr. Melke and also his tenant farmer. We think that because of the drain tile that runs through that area, it might make more sense for us to have a privacy screening fence where we don't have to worry about the roots or anything that could disturb that, just for the drainage and everything like that. If that's agreeable to the county, I know there's the aspect of the visual screening, so some people like to prefer to look at the trees, but if an 8-foot tall fence would do the trick, like an 8-foot tall chain link fence with the plastic slats for privacy, that's what we would propose. Of course, if we have to go with landscape screening, we also go with that. But I just want to throw that out as an option. I think it's important to listen to all members of the community, especially when working with the landowner, taking into consideration what they want to have for the future use of the land. I think this would also work in lieu of the landscape screening.
All right. Sir, in the back, did you have something? You gotta come to the mic, give us your name, and then Otherwise, everybody can't hear you.
I'm across the street from the county shed.
What's your name, sir?
Joel Zellman.
Okay?
I have anytime auto repair and towing. I've been there for 18 years. I have a conditional use permit. So I'm in a commercial setting. I mean, I was okay with the county shed, the gas main, and all the things that, you know, because I am a commercial setting. But the thing I see about the commercial setting, you know, with these panels is all the neighbors don't want it. I have to live with all these guys who are landowners around this, right? I got my conditional use permit because they agreed. They live there. They got to look at me and I got to look at them every day with my deal. He doesn't live there. If he wants them panels, put them at your house in Plato, Don. You don't have to live with us. You don't have to look at me every day. You don't have to look at Ron Boilercheck every day. You don't have to look at Blazinski. You don't have to look at Schultz.
Sir, okay, calm down. And
I just-
listen
I
to me.
think-
Listen to me for a second.
Okay?
You gotta calm down, and you gotta talk in the mic, otherwise we can't hear what you're trying to say.
Okay, we vote, our county, our township board says no. All the neighbors say no. We vote you in. That should be the end of the discussion. That's all I have to say.
Very good. Thank you. Go ahead, sir. You gotta come to the mic. Go ahead, come to the mic, give us your name and.
I'm Don Melke. I own this land, or this is proposed, and after the last meeting, I got this diagram from US Solar, and if there's trees gotta be planted there, I don't want the project. And another thing that worries me is this permanent proposed wetland sediment basin. I do not know of any other solar projects that have that. Cullen tells me that's a standard thing, they do. I don't know of any other solar projects that have that. I'm very less enthused about the idea now after I've seen this map. So I guess I'm kind of neutral on the matter right now. Well, all I can say is I don't want no trees there.
All right, well,
So that's the comment I was going to make.
all right, Mark, can you come up
So-
with, all right, thank you, sir. We can do whatever here the board wants to, but I'm inclined with that being said, we want to send it back to your office to work this out and then come back to the board to see if the landowner even wants this deal done now, or what do you want to do?
We would need another waiver signed by the applicant extending this project indefinitely. Right now, we have asked for that. We need to have resolution by the middle of April in regards to this. So with all that being said, I'm not opposed to that. I would refer to our legal, counsel for advice on that. There's multiple ways you can go with this. If the landowner was unsure of the easement and the requirements of that, the screening is something that we try to remain consistent from project to project on, because it's not a matter of mitigating concerns directly to the neighboring properties, it's also mitigating concerns to the public. And because they're on an intersection of two very busy roads, and there are patrons that will be traveling on those roads, we have to make sure that we address their concerns as well. And the screening part of it is to reduce the impact, but also to minimize any potential glare or any other potential issues that may arise to the roadways. So,
All right, well, does the board have any questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Why the middle of April? You said we have to have this resolved. Is there something that runs out at that time, or why middle of April?
so typically we have to act on decisions within 60 days.
Okay.
And then if the applicant signs a waiver, we have the right to extend that. If we are pressed up against that time frame a second time, then another waiver would have to be signed extending that indefinitely. Is that correct, Mr. Young?
Well, I guess I've talked enough. Does
Yeah.
the board have any other questions?
Well, I think my comments, I think it's interesting to make comment to putting up more of a chain link fence so we don't have to deal with roots and tile lines. Perhaps, trees and shrubs, they die once in a while, and you have to go replace them. And then on the other hand, there's the consistency that we're trying to promote. However, I think the applicant needs to decide what their intentions are, and we can't decide that for them. So I think that if the applicant is willing to sign a waiver to address more time, and the applicant can make that final decision, I think we're stuck, and the decision one way or the other might not sit well with the neighbors. So before we put ourselves or anybody else in that position, I think the applicant needs to be comfortable with exactly what they're coming forward with, and I think if they'll sign the waiver, and we'll see it when that time comes that he's ready for that application, would be the right thing to do.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Doug?
Excuse me, I would echo what Commissioner Wright said, but I go along with most of these because of a willing buyer and a willing seller. I'm not a big solar fan, obviously, and for people that know me, but I usually go along with it because there's a willing seller, and he doesn't sound as willing as he once did, so I too think we should turn it back and go through it, have you go through it and bring it back to us.
Mike, what kind of action or lack thereof should we take? Should we? Okay. Somebody got a date for me? That's probably the best.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
the second board meeting in April is April 21st.
So it's passed.
First is on April 7th.
All right, so those are our options. We can table it to one of those board meetings, or we can send it back to the planning commission to work this out.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
The question I have, and probably more of the legal question, is if the applicant declines to agree to an extension, another 60-day extension, what are our options? And
Your options are either to accept the proposal or to deny it if they are unwilling to ask for an extension.
okay, and that doesn't have to be determined until a subsequent meeting? We don't have to make that decision today, is that correct?
The applicant has to decide.
Mr. Pilecki, when does the 60 days run?
We would have to make a decision by April 4th. So we would need a waiver to be signed, another waiver to be signed, to be able to hear this in April.
Mr. Milky, are you willing to sign that waiver so that we can see this at a later time?
Mr. Melky, can you come up? We have a question for you.
Can you relay it to him?
Mark, can you ask him? He's hard of hearing.
Yeah, so actually, the applicant was made by U.S. Solar, so Mr. Kobayashi would have to be the one to sign that waiver.
Oh, okay.
Sir, are you willing to do that? Or do you need some time to check on that?
I have a few minutes to step out here.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay, all right, we'll
Do that.
move on. And just let Mr. Teletsky know when you're ready, okay? All right, we'll, where are we?
We are on,
Sheriff's Office, right?
Is it November 8th?
Yes,
Yep, all right.
Yeah.
Do you have that, Sheila?
I do.
Okay,
With the other items that were moved or removed, we're at item 8.
okay.
Item A, consider approval to order a 2020 Dodge Ram Special Service Vehicle, SSV, truck via the Minnesota State contract from Dodge of Burnsville for a cost of $26,583, including all options with funds from the Sheriff's Office budget. This vehicle will replace a 2013 Dodge Durango with approximately 171,000 miles.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Szymanski, any discussion?
Mr.
Hearing
Chair,
none- oh,
if I may.
Yes.
Just a clarification, a special service vehicle, is that coming equipped with some special equipment, or is that just another name for a crew cab pickup?
Commissioner, myself and Liz were researching a little bit on the vehicle to make sure that we had it written right. I don't know exactly what options are included on the vehicle or what it Appears, I think it is an SUV type vehicle.
Okay. Thank you,
you.
Sheila.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 9, jail. A, consider approval to auction a 2013 Dodge Caravan from the jail fleet. The van has over 210,000 miles and has been replaced by a squad from the sheriff's office fleet. The jail will use Fahey Sales Auctioneers and Appraisers of Glencoe, Minnesota for the auction.
Very good. Any questions?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the auction of the 2013 Dodge Caravan.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Commissioner Szymanski. I just want to note that Chief Deputy Langenfeld did send me a message, and that is their work style vehicle, the same as what was ordered in December. As Mr. Chair noted at the beginning of the meeting, we've asked our staff to limit their attendance today unless necessary, so we're electronically communicating with some of them for their board requests.
All right.
Thank you.
Parks Department. Al's here. Good morning.
Morning, Al.
I would, just asking we would like to replace 2 of our lawnmowers with 2 new ones through Midwest Machinery of Glencoe. We're replacing a 0-turn, and we're replacing a 955 small utility tractor. And what we're going to get is 2 0-turns, so I do have it in my budget.
So we're looking for 2 John Deere 0-turns at
Yep.
$8,500 apiece?
Yep, nope, 8,500 total.
80 total. All right, any questions for Al?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
seems I always have a question, but
That's all right.
Al, the John Deere tractor that you're trading in, the 955, that was primarily a lawn mowing unit?
That was a lawn mowing tractor. We used it out at Petenburg Park. We picked it up used from the city of Hutchinson when they traded it in. It has about the hourly gauge went out, but we figured somewhere between 35 and 4,000 hours.
Okay.
And it's just starting to nickel and dime us. So as you can see, we're still getting a pretty decent price for it.
Absolutely. I think that's a good deal. The other question is the 2016 Ferris mower that you're trading in. That's only like 4 years old. Is there?
We're having some little problems with it, and we decided to get rid of that one first. So
Okay.
that isn't the oldest one, but the oldest one's been in really good condition. So that's why we're trading in the 16.
All right. Mr. Chair, I move to approve the purchase of the 2 lawnmowers from Midwest Machinery.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion?
It's the wrong brand here, Al. You know that, right?
What?
It's the wrong brand here, right? You know that.
I tried.
It's the best deal.
Any
Mr.
further
Chair.
discussion?
It's just a
Yes,
color.
I have one question for Al. What's the horsepower on these new tractors?
They're not tractors, they're...
Zero turns.
They're 31 horse, regular gas. They're not, when we went around, some dealers can't give us regular gas.
Okay.
And we can't have 2 0-turns regular and 2 0-turns diesel because
Yeah.
somebody's going to make a mistake. So,
Correct.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yep,
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
thank you.
Health and Human Services. Leah?
Good
Good morning.
morning. I'm requesting approval of the contract with the Department of Human Services
Hold the mic,
for
Susan.
services.
Leah, I'm sorry to interrupt, but pull those mics. It's really hard to hear you. Sorry.
Usually I'm loud enough. Don't worry about that. So I'm requesting approval for a contract with the Department of Human Services for the Children's Mental Health Respite Care Grant for the amount of $66,687. The contract would start April 1st of this year and continue to June 30th of 2021. Prior, we were just awarded the grant, and they didn't ask for a contract, but DHS has been asking for contracts lately, so that is why I'm requesting approval for the grant. The summary that this grant covers, it is traditional respite care, which is overnights with with traditional foster care providers, or non-traditional such as camps, community education events, driver's training, and various other things.
Okay, any questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Aaliyah, this is a grant that's shared with Meeker and Renville County. So are we accepting the grant as primarily the fiscal host?
We are the fiscal host and have been the fiscal host for the last 7+ years that we've been awarded this respite care grant. So I would prefer to continue to do that, to serve that, because I think we have a bigger pull because we have to apply for the grants every year. So working cooperatively, I think, gives us more money than if we were just doing singular.
Okay, so the only difference then is we've done this in the past, we just have the
It's just a
formality of
formal
a contract.
with DHS, yep.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer, any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Do you have the Woodland Center? Or who's, oh, I didn't see you back there.
Good morning,
Hello.
everybody. Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So I'm here to present the Woodland contract that we've been working on with the HHS committee for several months. Was discussed in February and requested to bring to the full board for review and approval. So this is a transfer of the TriStar Act team from McLeod County as the hiring authority to Woodland Center, effective approximately July 1st. July 1st will be the earliest. It could be delayed depending on how Woodland Centers proceeds with DHS. The county attorney has reviewed this, and the first year cost will be $30,000 for the startup and $20,000 thereafter. This will be budgeted into the social services budget.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Ron.
Thank you. The only question I have is the first year cost, the $30,000, I understand that.
Yep.
But in reading the contract, I read the contract
Thank
saying
you.
that the second year would be $25,000 and then $20,000 a year.
Oh, okay, so
after
they are
that.
doing kind of a, they changed that since the last time I had a chance to review it, so it appears it'll be a
It's a step
detrimental.
down.
Yeah, each year we'll get until they even out at the
Okay.
20,000, yeah.
All right.
Apologize. Thank you for pointing that out.
Thank you for
Yeah.
clarifying that. Okay.
All right, any other questions? All right.
Mr. Chair, I'd move to approve this contract.
Motion by Commissioner Polmeyer, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Szymanski, any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have item 12, Sheila?
I do.
Okay.
Item 12, Information Technology. Consider authorizing the county administrator to execute agreements with the United States Department of Homeland Security's Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency for cybersecurity services provided at no cost to state, local, territorial, and tribal governments. The agreements include non-public items.
All right. Any questions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
could I just have a clarification on non-public items? What does that mean? Sorry.
That's okay. I thought that might come up. With cybersecurity and the Department of Homeland Security, obviously there are things included in that agreement that cannot be posted to the public. That's what it means. I don't know how to really explain it to you further without telling you what the non-public items are.
Okay,
So,
no, I got it. You
Yeah.
clarified it. Thank you.
thank you.
All right, any other questions? Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Polmeyer, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kruger, any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. The county attorney will return in a few minutes.
Okay,
So if we could move on to your item.
so we'll go to county administration, the calendars. Go ahead, Rich.
Okay, let me get my paper off here. Since our last board meeting, we had a workshop. Following day, I had a public meeting with emergency management. That was I think our first go at the new Corona-19 management on how things will be handled through Meeker, McLeod, and Sibley County. I thought at that point everybody had a pretty good handle on what may or may not happen, given the fact that nobody really knows what we're dealing with. So our emergency management and public health are right on top of this all the way. Since then, we've been getting many notifications and updates. Next day, we had a meeting at Prime West, had a personnel committee meeting along with many phone calls with personnel committee, attended our township meetings. I attended Hassan Valley, Rich Valley, and Sumter. Normal concerns are the price of gravel going up and the price of fire safety rising rather rapidly for the townships. So I was asked to attempt to maybe coordinate something with local fire departments on how we can handle better the high cost of some of this equipment that's needed to take care of each of the townships. After that, we had Pack for Families meeting and Community Health Board, once again, Meeker, McLeod, Sibley County Community Health Board. And once again, that meeting was, as most are right now, a lot of information about the corona and how to handle and keep moving forward. So that's why you're sitting where you are today. Thank you.
Ron?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Since our last board meeting, we did have a little discussion about HHS structure, but then we also had the Prime West Health meeting on March 5th. Again, we had all of our member counties in attendance. The expansion counties were with us. Things are moving along with the Prime West Health expansion. Some letters, some legislative support is being rendered in support of county-based purchasing, advising the governor and Department of Human Services to appreciate and acknowledge the input of counties when it comes to the determination of who provides public health service, not public health services, but medical assistance services in our counties. And so we're confident that the governor and the Department of Human Services will respond to us and we'll come to a good resolution in the next few months. That's it, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Paul?
Okay, at our last workshop, from there I had 4 township meetings, Round Grove, Lynn, Penn, and Collins. Topics that were covered there, a lot of questions on our new government center, a few on efforts of rural recycling program, questions on road projects and county ditches, pretty well sums up the majority of the concerns there. Had a meeting with public health and social services supervisors, and yesterday a long-range planning meeting with Scott Marquardt of Southwest Foundation.
All right. After last meeting, we had a workshop, personnel committee, a few of them, canvassing board, some negotiations with the MNP bargaining unit, township meetings, Hutchinson and Acoma, a department head meeting, and a social services, public health, or health and human services, workshop structure meeting. It was awesome. So I appreciate being invited to that. Doug?
Okay, a lot of it's been covered, so I'm not going to go over it again. On the 6th, I did, Commissioner Nagel and myself were on the canvassing board certifying the primary. On the 8th, I had an MRC board meeting. It was done through a GoToMeeting or through IT. Also, on the 10th, I had a department head meeting. And I also that afternoon attended Glencoe and Helen Township annual meetings. about the same as the other commissioners. The recycling, what's going to happen with recycling, the cost of fire, and heavier discussion on gravel roads, on the condition of our gravel roads and partly on drainage. And then I've been working a couple of days with our drainage up at our Health and Human Services building, the tile that comes within the city of Glencoe, trying to get a new tile line in there, met with the landowners, and we do have a plan in place, and hopefully we'll be able to take care of that problem here in spring or in April sometime. And then a lot of my time just keeping up with this coronavirus updates are changing almost by the hour, not by the day, so I'm just trying to keep a handle on that, so it brings us to today.
Sheila, anything to add?
Thank you. I just want to shortly thank our staff. They've been working hour to hour and making efforts all across the county to help stop the spread of COVID-19, the coronavirus, and also to thank the public for following us with our social media updates, our media updates, and also our McLeod County website. The first two places to go if you're looking for an update would be that county website or our Facebook page. Not everyone has those two things, and we will release the same information to the newspaper and radio, but there may be a little bit more of a delay. McLeod County Public Health hands down any information regarding confirmations of positive tests for COVID-19, and like Commissioner Nagel said at the beginning, we do not have any at this time. But thank you for your patience, and continue to watch those two areas for updates.
Yeah, and thank you, Sheila. You've done a great job. Mark, you ready to take this? Or?
I am, Mr. Chair.
All right.
So with that being said, in discussion with Mr. Kobayashi, US Solar, they have agreed to sign a waiver, and I would ask that we would table this, send it back to the Planning Commission for their April 22nd meeting. Mr. Milkey would appreciate us to do that because he does have concerns, obviously, with standards that we have placed in the past. And again, those are new to me, so first time I've heard them is today, so I apologize for that. But if we can send this back to the April 22nd, 2020 Planning Commission meeting, hopefully we can have something brought forward to the county board for, I believe, May 6th. Is that correct?
Sorry, lots going on. So we're looking.
The
So you're saying you want to table it till the 21st of April?
22nd of it. Well, you'll have to table it back to your meeting in May.
Okay.
But we can send
May
this
6th.
back to the Planning Commission April 22nd. I just don't have that
Oh.
first May meeting.
I'm sorry, I
apologize for that.
misunderstood. Okay, so you want to table it to May 6th for us?
That is the first Tuesday? Yep. May 5th. I'm sorry, May 5th.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
We miss you up here, Liz.
So just for the record, Mr. Kobayashi, you do agree with that?
Okay, all right.
Mr. Chair. Yeah. I'm primarily listening to the neighbors and to Mr. Milkey, so I'm glad it's going back to the Planning Commission on the 22nd, and I'd move to table our decision until May 5th.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. We'll keep working on it, okay? All right. Sorry, everyone. I was trying to stay organized. Let's go back to county administration, if that's okay, Sheila?
It is. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, so item A.
Item A, consider approval of letter of support to the Minnesota Department of Human Services for Woodland Center's application to acquire the TriStar Assertive Community Treatment Act team and provide ACT services in Meeker, Renville, and McLeod counties.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
That is a follow-up to the one we approved, and that's just a support letter for the one we just approved, is that correct?
Yes, essentially, the support letter goes to DHS, and they have requested from the other parties and have received it already.
I'd move to approve that.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer, any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item B, consider approval of Healthcare Savings Plan, HCSP, agreement for law enforcement labor services, non-licensed sergeants unit. This agreement is a result of the memorandum of agreement with LELS, non-licensed sergeants, approved by the county board on February 18th, 2020.
All right. I'll move to approve. Is there a second?
Second?
Second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item C, consider approval of the collective bargaining agreement with Minnesota Teamsters Public and Law Enforcement Employees Union, Local Number 320, for December 22nd, 2019 through December 17, 2022.
Okay. It's the pleasure of the board.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Wright.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item D, consider approval of Personnel Committee recommendation to add position of Household Hazardous Waste, HHW, seasonal technician at a grade 130 in the Environmental Services Department. This is a 67-shift part-time position. The addition is within the budget with the HHW lead technician position not being backfilled upon being vacated.
Move to approve, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Holmeyer. You're a long ways away.
Sorry.
Any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Sheila, is this 67 shift, this is a seasonal position, or is this a year-round position? Or
The reason that it's called a seasonal technician, so it would be
Okay.
seasonal
All
for the
right,
most
so
part.
just-
But with the 67 shift, it gives you that flexibility if there's some coverage needed throughout the year.
Okay.
This is to cover hours so that we can have extended hours, I believe, at the HHW facility.
All right, thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And Sheila, before we move on, do you want to, just for there's a lot of personnel issues on here right now.
Yes.
And just so everybody knows that the board has adopted, I don't know if it's a policy or at least a guideline of once a year dealing with this. And it's at the end of the year, and we did that. But now with everything going on, this is when it's
You're right.
it's coming due, I guess. So is that a decent way to explain it?
Sure, thank you for bringing that up. So we've encouraged our department heads to bring their staffing needs for the coming year during the budgeting process. And they did a good job of that for 2020. They started in 2019. With that said, it doesn't happen overnight to get all of these jobs on the agenda. It would be great if it did for them. However, they have to prepare quite a bit of information, write job descriptions, submit it, and wait for us while it goes through the evaluation committee process and the personnel committee process. So that's why you see these jobs grouped in one. During this meeting and our next meeting, there are quite a few of the personnel requests listed. What we tried to do is note what are the changes underneath that item. Underneath the request, you'll see a little detail of what does that mean. Oftentimes, the staffing requests mean that another position has changed, or if someone retired or left, that we are changing maybe the type of position, the hours, or whatever may be noted underneath. Are there any other questions about that process?
No, I think it's just important to know these aren't necessarily additional positions.
Thank you.
Often they're not. They may be reorganized, but often they're not new positions. So does the board have anything else to say about that? I think it was important to give an explanation, considering we're going to address a lot of them in the next month. Good idea. All right, we can move on then.
Thank you. Item E. Consider approval of Personnel Committee recommendation to add the position of fiscal officer at a grade 180, replacing the fiscal supervisor position, grade 180, in the Health and Human Services Department. With this change, the fiscal officer and the accounting technicians at Health and Human Services would now be supervised by the Director of Finance and Administration. So with that change of finance being moved to administration in the past couple of years, That person has the capacity to supervise a larger group, and it takes some of the pressure off of Health and Human Services supervisor group.
Any questions?
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Polmeyer. Is there a
Second.
second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item F, consider approval of Personnel Committee recommendation to add the position of Child Support Supervisor at a grade 200 to replace the Child Support Lead Worker position, grade 160, in the Health and Human Services Department. Child support supervision had previously been handled by the fiscal supervisor role. That person supervised both fiscal and child support within Health and Human Services. The current child support lead worker would likely be offered the replacement role of child support supervisor, being that their position would be eliminated with this change.
And we learned of this through the fiscal reorganization, right?
Correct.
All right, any questions?
To approve.
Motion by Commissioner Wright. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item G, consider approval of Personnel Committee recommendation to add the position of Elections Personnel at a grade 130 to the Auditor Treasurer's Office. Currently, we have one individual in the 67-shift part-time role and are budgeted for 3 part-time staff of this role. This is a change to formalize the position title and wage grade, so we would be adding 2 more. And Commissioner Szymanski, you had asked before about seasonal because of the 67 shift. Part of the reason we would like to not call this a seasonal position is throughout the year, the Auditor Treasurer's Office may need their help outside of election season for these types of tasks.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions about that?
Move to approve, Mr. Chair.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item H, consider approval of Personnel Committee recommendation to change a licensed Center Technical Specialist 1 staff from part-time to full-time. This change is recommended in response to the increased workload due to MinDrive, which is replacing MinLars beginning November 2020, software systems, Real ID, and enhanced driver's license change, along with training requirements in Minnesota, and several staffing changes throughout the year. This increase of hours fits within the Auditor Treasurer's budget and our current staff.
All right.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Szymanski. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners. Item I. There's a copy of the Continuity of Operations Plan in our board packet. We're asking you to consider adopting revisions to the McLeod County Continuity of Operations Plan. However, due to the timing of the public health emergency, the copy in your packet is different than the copy that's been given to the commissioners, and I believe the press has a release in the back, or a copy of the new release. The packet would be updated after the board meeting to reflect those changes. Because of the timing, we had to keep being able to make changes to the priority of services for our departments. There were not a lot of changes, however, there were a few, so you would want to make sure if you reviewed the previous copy that you refer to the new copy. The Continuity of Operations Plan appears as COOP, C-O-O-P, was originally adopted by the County Board of Commissioners on June 5, 2007, and prepared by Kevin Matthews, Director of McLeod County Emergency Management. This plan was originally prepared to be implemented when the county would have a severe staff shortage, for instance, for a pandemic of influenza. Myself and Kevin have worked over the past week plus to update this plan, also along with all of our department heads and staff from HHS to assure that the information is more accurate than it was from the previous copy. And then this plan would be updated as needed.
All right.
Thank you.
So we need to adopt, you need a motion to adopt this, correct?
Correct.
All right. Any questions, or is there a motion to do so?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item J, consider amending a previously adopted motion made by Commissioner Wright and Commissioner Kruger on March 3, 2020, authorizing the county attorney, Michael Young, to act on the county's behalf to settle the tax court petition for payable 2018 from $5,805,000 to $5,300,000, and payable 2019 from $5,614,600 to $5 million, and to authorize the assessor to adjust the tax records payable for payable 2020 from $5,614,600 to $4,600,000. During the March 3, 2020 County Board meeting, the Assessor's Office presented information related to a tax court settlement with Miller Manufacturing of Glencoe, Minnesota. During the meeting, the 2018 payable value was stated as $5,805,000, and the correct value for 2018 payable is $5,601,600. The board should consider amending the previously adopted motion made by Commissioners Wright and Kruger to reflect the accurate 2018 payable of the 2018 payable value of $5,601,600. That was a lot of numbers. I hope I read that correctly.
Commissioner Wright, what do you think?
Yeah, just a question. So the numbers that were presented to us on the March 3rd meeting were incorrect.
Correct.
It wasn't that we misread or made an error.
Correct, you did
It was-
not.
We had the
No.
wrong numbers. All right. Make a motion to amend the motion previously for March 3rd to the numbers that are in front of us today.
Motion by Commissioner Wright.
I'd second that, but I do have a question. I'm still,
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Go ahead.
but that same value went down to $4,600,000, so how does that, what is that reflecting? I'm a little confused there. It's just, so the only number wrong was the 614, is that correct? 5,614,000?
Liz is coming to the podium to help.
Hi. According to what Sue sent me, it was just the payable 2018 value that she misstated, and that value was included in your motion, so she needed to make a correction to it. The number that it was changed to didn't change, just the current value of 2018 payable.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear on, so it was just the value change, what it went to, is correct? The 4
Yes.
million, okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Brenda Shimleski is here from the Assessor's Office. Is there anything to add that we have missed? She says there's not. Okay,
I'm
thank
good,
you.
Mr. Chair.
All right. Any further questions or any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. We added item K under administration. Well, first we removed our old item K of Student Government Day, and we added item K, asking you to consider approval of McLeod County policy for paid leave utilization during a public health emergency. I'm sorry, did I go too quickly?
No,
Okay.
we're just,
Thank you.
so, forgive me.
No, you're
Sorry, I
fine.
was being distracting.
I may
So
have
item
gone
K is replaced with the paid leave one, so go ahead and start over and go over that for us, please.
Thank you. So at the beginning of our meeting, we removed item K under county administration because it referenced Student Government Day, which we're not having.
Yep.
And we added, consider approval of McLeod County policy for paid leave utilization during a public health emergency. Would you like me to?
Yeah, you at least need to
Redo this.
summarize it for us.
Okay. Thanks actually to our partners at Carleton County, because right now, obviously, counties across the state are trying to make sure that they have the right tools in place to support the workplace, and they had written a policy that would work well for our county as also. So we wrote a paid leave utilization during a public health emergency policy for our employees pending county board approval today. And what we're asking is for benefit eligible employees who've exhausted all paid sick leave and paid vacation to be allowed to receive an advance of the equivalent of up to 10 days of paid sick leave, a maximum of 80 hours, unless a greater amount is approved at the discretion of the county administrator for absence from work due to infection of the public health emergency. And a benefit eligible employee may use any available paid sick leave and paid vacation in the event where a qualifying family member's school or place of care has been closed due to the public health emergency, and their presence is required to provide care for the family member. Employees who are not benefit eligible and do not have accrued paid leave will be allowed the same leave provisions, however, their time would be unpaid. All other provisions of our collective bargaining agreements and county personnel policy would remain intact. I don't have any other thing to summarize there except that you may have questions.
No, I think it's good. So basically, if this would happen, you would essentially advance them sick time.
Correct. So there are specific procedures included, there are 7 of them, and we would have to declare activation of this policy consistent with the public health emergency, and then they would have to request that advance in writing to their supervisor and the county administrator, and they would pay that back,
Okay.
that time back. The majority of our employees accrue around 8 hours of sick leave per month.
So they would pay it back as a...
Right.
Okay. All right, any questions for Sheila?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I do have a comment. I mean, I've been trying to follow the governor's office on this. I think this is at least it's transparent. It tells everybody what we're doing, and, you know, it might change as time goes on, so, but I think for now, it's very transparent, and I would move to approve it.
All right, motion by Commissioner Kruger, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer, any discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
Sheila, is this the document that will then be shared with county employees, or?
Yes, so now that approval has gone through, they'll receive this today, so that with a list of frequently asked questions, this is going to be included to address some of their burning questions that obviously they have right now.
All right. I'm looking for a date of issue on here. I don't see a date on it. Would you recommend that we have a dated?
Oh, I'm sorry, so this copy is just for your approval, but we will need to add in dates and signatures
Okay.
when we get back.
All right, thank you for clarifying.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank
Anything
you.
else?
I believe I have nothing to add. Thank you.
Mike? Welcome back.
Thank you. The first thing that I have is for you to approve a change from Anna Gusis's status from temporary full-time to permanent full-time. And that would be effective to today's date. She started with us as a temporary. She was going to fill in during a maternity leave. And if you recall, we had hired another person back then, and that person then backed out. So we've been going short, and she's been on the job for 3.5 months, and I'm very happy with her work and would ask that you approve her to be changed to full-time permanent.
All right. Any questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Mike, are assistant attorneys subject to probationary periods and so forth? And
They are.
if they are, would her probation have started when she originally came to work, or will it be initiated now on her full-term
Starts now.
employment? Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, I'd move to approve this resolution.
Motion by Commissioner Polmeyer. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Szymanski. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Then the second item that I had is the recap of the evaluation of Sheila Murphy as your McLeod County Administrator. After 6 months, this follows the closed board meeting that you had on March 3rd. The summary of the evaluation is that she is performing well in her first 6 months. She has done well on a very steep learning curve, and has performed particularly well in the area of budget and communication with the board. Areas that need additional work would include agenda preparation and communication with departments, particularly with regard to vacancies and future plans. The overall grade on a scale of A to F was a B, and the board was very happy with her performance. Thank you.
Sheila, before we take a motion to approve the summary, good job. You work for a very demanding board, and I am sorry but not sorry about that.
Thank you.
And you're doing a great job. And in the last, this is nothing against the administrator. I've been here 6 years. This is nothing against the previous administrators, but you're doing a great job, and we're lucky to have you. So with that, I would move to approve the summary of the evaluation.
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Sheila, I would echo all of Joe's comments, and thank you for working hard through the pandemic and so forth that we're dealing with right now.
Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I also want to thank Sheila for the diligent and extended hours that you've been working with this coronavirus situation and all of your staff. I think you've really got things organized, and we really appreciate your efforts in getting this in front of people, and accurate information and timely information is very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. There's no way that I could have accomplished any of that without administration, with Liz, Hannah, Nikki, Donna, Scott, the emergency management director, Kevin Matthews, and especially public health. And the support of Chief Deputy Tim Langenfeld. He's done a great job with his staff. So thank you. They've all done a really great job.
All right. We should evaluate it after this. It would have got better. But anyway, any further discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I have a question maybe for the county attorney, but since we canceled our student government day on April 7th, 2020, are we able to add a board workshop that day in case we need it because of?
If you wish to, yes.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Yep.
So can I add item L?
Yep, sure.
Okay. We will be holding a county board workshop on Tuesday, April 7th, 2020, immediately following the county board meeting. I would assume that that workshop would likely be held in the same place as the county board meeting at this time, unless further noted.
Okay.
And then if I could add one more note, an enormous thank you to Lori Sneguski from Public Health and her team, specifically Amanda Marsh. And they have been working tirelessly. All of the information that you're seeing us share is being filtered through us, but it is coming from them. So thank you to them. Thank you to all of the people who are in that facility, but Lori has really been leading that effort and doing a very good job. So if you see her, please thank her and know that she is doing her best to get all of the information to you in a timely manner, and we're very appreciative of her efforts at this time. So I'm sorry I didn't include her when I was saying names. Thank you.
All right, as previously mentioned, the McLeod County Board will meet shortly in a workshop setting to discuss the public health emergency caused by COVID-19. In the workshop, we plan to discuss efforts supported by the Association of Minnesota Counties, methods of safely delivering essential services, and how to keep citizens and our employees safe during the pandemic. We will also take into consideration the recommendations given by the Minnesota Department of Health, Public Health, and other governing authorities. Please watch for a press release following our workshop outlining these efforts. Thank you for helping to close the risk window, implementing social distancing, and supporting local business and education changes during this critical time. Is there any open forum or press relations? Looking for a motion to recess to our next board meeting, April 7th, 2020, 9 a.m. at the Glencoe City Center.
Move to recess.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.